sight reading for guitar. It's a very useful tool, and even though many great guitarists don't read at all, it's a very handy way to be able to open up a book, put your hands in the right place, and start to tap into the ideas of some of the greatest musical minds that ever lived, including those who didn't play guitar. Let's take a look. So here on the left, we see a page from my curriculum for Introduction to Standard Notation on Guitar. We're looking at the guitar notes as appearing on the treble clef staff, and if you see a staff other than the treble clef, you may realize that the music is not very specific to guitar. Here are the line notes, meaning notes that actually straddle the line, E, G, B, D, and F. And if you had grade school music, you may recall that we remember these as every good boy does fine, or sometimes every good bird does fly. Here we see the space notes, or the notes that are on the space between two lines. They are F, A, C, E, which obviously spells face, and sometimes it's easy to remember that face rhymes with space. We can see below that we have the guitar tablature staff, and that each of these notes is given a designation for the string and the fret that it occurs. So this E on the bottom line of the treble clef staff for now can be thought of as being the second fret of the fourth string, or the D string. Here we see the G on the second line as being the open third string on guitar, the B on the middle line being the open second string on guitar, the D on the fourth line as being the third fret of the second string, and the F on the top line as being the first fret of the first string. With the space notes, we see the F as being the third fret of the fourth string, the A as being the second fret of the third string, the C as being the first fret of the second string, and the E is the open first string. It's very handy to think of these as being arranged into ranges, meaning the range between the top space and the G above it, the E, the F, and the G, can be thought of as the first string notes on guitar. In other words, it's most convenient to play these on the first string. So this E, F, and G should sound as E, F, and G on the open, first, and third frets of the first string. Likewise, there are certain notes that are best suited to being played on the second string. Here we see the B on the middle line as being the open second string, the C on the first fret of the second string, and the D on the third fret of the second string, and then the notes below there could be thought of as being in the range best appropriate to the third string. So here we see the G as the open third string, and then the A above it is the second fret of that same third string. At the bottom of the page we see the melody from Beethoven's Ode to Joy movement of the Ninth Symphony. What I'd like to look at here is the range of these notes, meaning we look at the highest note in the example and the lowest note, which in this case happens to be C, the highest note is G, so we could consider that the G is on the first string, the C is on the second string, and we really don't need any more than those two strings to play this example. E, E, F, and G are all first string notes. In the second measure, the G, the F, and the E are still first string notes, but we see the D dropping down to the second string range. This gives us insight into where we might put the exact placement of these notes to be able to read the melody. Here on the right we see Andante, the classic by Fernando Sor, and again I'm going to try to establish a range of the reading here. The highest note I can find in this piece is the G, which is above the top line, and we think of that as the third fret on the first string from the previous example. The lowest note I see is the G, it's on the second line, and we think of that as the open third string. In other words, this entire piece can be played with only understanding the notes on the first three strings. It's worth noting that there's a separate part here. We could think of the notes on the staff as being the melody. The harmony or accompaniment is shown as the chords above. So for these two measures, the C chord and some rhythmic pattern based on it could be thought of as a second guitar part, where skilled fingerstyle guitarists can incorporate both of these parts together by playing part of the chord, bass notes, and the notes on the middle strings while still handling the melody.